Let's talk. We've been talking on these different broadcasts. We've been talking about walking with God, basically. And when we talk about walking with God, we're talking about hearing the voice of God. And we take the little acrostic, HEAR, hearing. And this is not original with me. So if you say, well, I've heard that somewhere else, that's fine. I heard it from somewhere else too. It's highlight that. Let that stand out. When you read this Bible, let that stand out in your life. And then explain. How is that applicable to your life? What do you hear the Spirit of God saying, and then apply? How does that apply to your life? You see, truth is always the same, but you are different from me. You have different needs and different desires from me. For instance, I have retired. I've already reared my children. I have grandchildren that are young adults. You right now might just be starting a family, or you might be living alone. I live in a house, and I live in North Carolina. You might live out somewhere in North Dakota or Montana or maybe even Alaska. We have people that talk to us that live in the Yukon. So we have people all over the world that are talking. So how does this apply to your life? Bring your life down and say, this is what's going on, and then how are you going to respond? This is a book. The Bible is a book of action. People were moving. They would meet Jesus, and he would give them a job, and they would do something. Moses met God in the burning bush, and he sent him down to Egypt. Abraham met God there at the altar, and then God gave him a promise. It's always people are moving, they are doing, and it's a commitment not only to Jesus Christ, but it's a commitment to make sure that you and I are actively building not our kingdom, but the kingdom of God. Now we find that in John chapter 5. There was a man who was down by the pool of Siloam. And that pool was a place supposedly of great medicine. And it's a pool, I've been there. It's a pool that is fed by underground, what we would call artesian wells. And the water would come up in it. And the story then, the medical story then was, if you were sick or you were disabled or something happened to there, if you walked into the water when the angel began to stir the water, you would get better. There, Jesus walks in and he sees a man, and I believe he had foreknowledge of this man, and he walked up to him, a man who was paralyzed and had been in that situation for 38 years. The language would lead us to believe he's probably got some sort of a spinal injury. A spinal injury. One of my members, when we were talking about that, he's a doctor. He's an anesthesiologist, and he said, "Well, we know it was beyond below L5 because if it was L5 or above, he probably couldn't breathe." Well, I don't want to get that technical. All I know is the man couldn't walk. And he was paralyzed, and he met Jesus, and Jesus asked him a simple question: do you want to get better? Now, I'm going to ask you a simple question. I don't want to hear your war stories. I don't want to hear all the problems. I know your daddy was mean, your husband's terrible, your mother didn't love you, your wife left you, your kids are a wreck, your company's out of business, the government, need I say more? We've all got all those excuses for being paralyzed. But Jesus asks you right now, do you want to get better? You want to change your situation? You want to have a better attitude? You want to have a better life? You want to have a better outlook on life? If you do, then get up, start walking. What you need to do is get up, pack that, whatever it is that's keeping you from walking with God. It might be It might be travel ball. It might be the Carolina Panthers. It might be golf. Whatever it is that's keeping you from walking with God, you need to pack it up, put it away. There's nothing wrong with all of that, but that is not your God. And so at the time that you need to be serving God and you need to be walking with God, you need to pack all that other stuff up and you need to start walking with God. And you need to start experience his healing. You see, when Jesus heals us, he just doesn't heal us and that's it. He doesn't heal us and walk off and leave us. He continues to heal us. He heals us physically. He heals us spiritually. He heals us emotionally. He heals us psychologically. He enables you to walk where you need to walk, be where you need to be, think what you need to think, hear what you need to hear, taste what you need to taste. He ministers to the entire being because he has eternity in mind. And then what will happen with you, it's like that old guy in the Old Testament by the name of Enoch. He walked with God, and he walked with God, and walked with God, and then he was no more. This is what I think happened. I think he would walk with God, and then he'd go back home. And he'd walk with God, and he'd go back home. And he'd talk to God, and he got tired. He got tired of all the stuff that was going on in his life and all the stuff that was going on in the world. And one day they walked, and they walked, and they walked, and he just poured out his heart to God. And God turned around, looked at him, and said, "Hey, Enoch, we've walked so far. We're closer to my house than we are yours. Why don't we just go on to my house, and that can be your home?" That's what's going to happen to you. You're going to walk and walk until one day God takes you home. Remember, the shepherd loves the sheep. He's not going to forsake you. He's not going to leave you. By the way, I love you too.